Hi everyone, it's Rena, your favorite book, TV, and movie nerd. Today I'm coming to you not so live from my desk to tier rank some romance tropes. In case my video portfolio has not made it clear thus far, I am a big fan of romance in media, but I'm also very opinionated about it. It can be very hit or miss in the misogynistic world that we live in. One of the things that is the most hit or miss about romance in books, movies, and TV, whether it's the main plot or a subplot, is the romance tropes used. There are so many romance tropes that exist. So many of them are deeply problematic, but a few of them are actually quite good. Now, if you're looking at my tier ranking set up here and you're like, this does not look like the tier ranking website, you're correct. I am not going to make an account on twitter.com to save my tier rankings. I made my own in Google Slides. I would argue that mine is actually cuter than the one that you get online. I have made 5 categories for today's ranking. They are color coordinated correctly, unlike every other tier ranking video I've ever seen. Why on earth would you have the best thing be red and the worst thing be green? Do we not know traffic signals? Hello? Clearly, the worst thing needs to be red and the best thing should be green, or in my case, because I have 4 tiers, blue. Starting with the absolute best, Immaculate Vibes. Perfect. This trope has no notes. Second best tier, Chef's Kiss. Exactly what it sounds like. We love it, but it's not quite perfect. You see what I'm saying? It's not all the way at that top tier. Next level, mid. Very self-explanatory, and yet I'm going to explain it anyway. It's very mid, meh, average. It really could go either way. It's not a good trope, but it's not a bad trope. It has the potential in, say, a specific book or movie to be elevated, but by the same token, it also has great potential to be demoted. Our next tier is no thicks. This one requires a teeny bit of explanation. Obviously, thicks, as in thanks, spelled THX, is text/internet slang. My entire family, we're all basically grammar nerds. Cute, I know. We have this running joke that whenever somebody types thicks, THX, instead of writing out thanks, it's sarcastic. Over time, it's progressed to the point where whenever somebody does something that is annoying, that we do not appreciate, we just say thicks. This tier means it's not the worst, but it is bad and or annoying. Last category is nightmare fuel. Self-explanatory, still gonna explain it. That means that this trope is an absolute dumpster fire. We hate it. The bar is in hell. Usually something to do with men are trash, etc., etc. Okay? Okay. Also, I'm great at picking emojis. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to show you all of the romance tropes we're going to talk about. Look at all that. Am I going to read all of these to you right now? Absolutely not. Technically, these are not all the ones that exist. These are the ones that I find show up the most often in any kind of romantic plot or subplot, and I wanted to talk about them the most. Here we go. 2 girls fight over one guy. I think this belongs in no thicks. It's not the absolute worst, but it's pretty bad, and I don't like it. It's just very annoying, regressive, misogynistic bullshit. She's a klutz because every woman in every rom-com just trips over her own feet for some reason. That's another no thicks. I don't absolutely hate it, but it's annoying and regressive. Catfishing. This is going straight to nightmare fuel. The example of this that immediately pops into my head every time is the movie Sierra Burgess is a Loser, which I can't believe was actually greenlit. Okay, that's not true. I believe it was greenlit. This is Hollywood we're talking about. But I am disappointed. There's just a lot of lying. You get into some weird territory with consent, like that one scene in Sierra Burgess where Noah Centineo thinks he's kissing one girl, but it's actually Sierra. Yeah, nightmare fuel. One True Love is romantic love. This belongs in mid. I don't really like the idea of one true love. It is statistically improbable that there's only one person that you're meant to be with romantically. There are 8 billion people on the planet. That's a little weird. And also assuming that everybody's one true love, if that was a thing, is going to be romantic. That's boring and not true for everybody. There are lots of examples of rom-coms especially where this trope is so fucking bad. But there are also some examples where it's good and relatively healthy. It's just average and boring on its own. Paid to Rome. Okay, this shit is immediately going in nightmare fuel. I hate this. There's so much deception. There's a real lack of consent. I think this can also encompass any kind of relationship between sex workers and clients as shown in media. The most famous example is Pretty Woman. That movie is gross on so many levels. The whole idea of exchanging money for romance or sexual favors. No, thank you. We're going to leave that in the garbage. That's not romantic at all. I should say, though, I really do like the movie 10 Things I Hate About You and the short-lived TV show based on it. Fetishized love interest immediately goes in nightmare fuel. I hate it. It's terrible. Often the main couple is interracial or multicultural in some way. And of course, because Hollywood, one of the people in the couple always has to be white. So it's usually the white person projecting some weird fetishizing gross shit onto their partner. Please put away your racism. It is not welcome. Mafia romance. I personally have not really consumed much mafia romance, but from what I know about it, it grosses me out. I don't feel strongly enough about it to put it in nightmare fuel, but I would say it's pretty bad. Ooh, pen pals. Mid. It can go either way. It just depends on how good the writer is at writing letters. This usually doesn't work in TV or movies because the format is not conducive to the viewer reading some long-ass letter or email. This works better in books because you have the letter right in front of you. I do like certain epistolary novels, but they can be very hit or miss, especially if the letters are written by different characters. It's much harder to distinguish the character's voice if their entire character is expressed through writing letters than it is in a typical novel. One really good example is Upstate by Kalisha Buckhannon. I read this book maybe 6 years ago now, and it still sticks with me. It's one of the best epistolary novels I've ever read. Meet Cute. Classic. Also in mid. When a meet cute is done right, they're really good. When they're done wrong, it's like watching a train wreck. Bad meet cutes often go hand in hand with the she's a klutz trope. Do with that what you will. Hero and villain. Oh, this one's difficult. I think it's gotta be Chef's Kiss. Now hear me out. There are some caveats here. It's not perfect because there's pretty much always going to be some type of problematic thing happening simply by the nature of the whole villain aspect, and sometimes heroes too, because let's be honest, heroes are often fucked up people. When it's done well, oh boy, is it excellent. And even when it's done badly, as harmful as it might be to a viewer or reader, it's way more compelling than a lot of other tropes. She can fix him. That's gonna go in no fix straight away. I hate this trope in media and also IRL. It's fucking annoying. Men just need to go to therapy. Women don't need to do shit. Female main characters' trauma or death in male main characters' point of view. This is my term for the romance version of the fridged woman trope, which I absolutely despise. So this is going straight in nightmare fuel. The idea here is very similar to the general fridged woman trope, is that bad things only happen to women in order to motivate the male character, whether that happens during the timeline of whatever story is happening or if it's as part of the woman's tragic past. Except the crux of it is it's presented as the man's tragic past. One of the weirdest things about this is that it's not just presented as part of the man's tragic past. If the woman in question died, it's also presented this way if the woman in question is alive but traumatized. A big one is women experiencing sexual violence just for it to be used as a plot device for their male partner. Fuck off. One of the guys, as in the girl is one of the guys. This is going in no thics. It's very basic misogyny, like, I don't see you as a real person. You're just a fly on the wall. And that the second men recognize that a woman has quote unquote feminine features, they lose their fucking minds and stop caring about anything other than the woman's sexual objectification. And it's bullshit, is what it is. Second chance romance. I guess we'll put it in mid. It very much can go either way. Usually, my philosophy is if a relationship ends, it's for a reason. Why would there be a second chance? But there are some exceptions. If the relationship ended for external reasons, say the characters are high school sweethearts and then they go to different colleges and decide that they don't want to do long distance. Or they were in some kind of star-crossed situation and were forced to break up by their families or something like that. That can work when it's done well. But most of the time it's kind of meh. Ooh, not like other girls. This is a big pet peeve of mine. This is going to go in no thics. I don't absolutely hate it because that requires energy that it does not deserve, but it is truly regressive and annoying. Not like other girls walked so that pick-me's could run, and that alone is a crime against humanity. Bad girl, good boy, mid. It can very easily go wrong. Anything can be made into misogynistic bullshit. A good example is Otis and Maeve in Sex Education. Why? Because Maeve is not actually a bad girl. She's rebellious and independent, but she's not a bad person. Otis is far from perfect, even though he is generally a good person, and he's not trying to fix Maeve or change anything about her. A lot of the time with this trope, it's 50-50 if you're going to get the sex education treatment or the sexist righteous man saves fallen woman situation. Secret relationship. Mid. Really, it just comes down to why it's a secret relationship. Depending on what the answer is, it moves up or down in the rankings. A bad example is, what is the title of that movie? It's with Kristen Stewart and the main actor from Station 11 in a queer Christmas rom-com. Try to say that 5 times fast. Station 11 actor's character isn't out to her parents, but brings her girlfriend, played by Kristen Stewart, to her family Christmas events and forces Kristen Stewart to stay in the closet and hide their relationship. That's a no good, very bad secret relationship. I understand that some people need or want to remain closeted, as much as I can understand that as a straight person. But you can't make that decision for other people, forcing it on Kristen Stewart, which is bad. Hot take. Don't make your partner hide who they are. Sometimes there's a decent reason, and you're like, okay. Especially if it's a temporary thing. A slightly better example is Romeo and Juliet, because their families are trying to kill each other, so it would end badly if people knew about it. Those fears were confirmed because it did end badly when the families found out. That's a good reason to keep a relationship a secret. I hate Shakespeare, FYI. Ooh, immortal times mortal. Mid. It can be healthy and fine, but it's often just an excuse for old men to creep on younger girls, i.e. Edward and Bella in Twilight, and every vampire romance on the planet. Ooh, the Vampire Diaries, the Salvatore brothers creeping on Elena. No, thank you. What are some good examples, though? They're all vampire related, all the ones that I'm thinking of. Raphael and Izzy in Shadowhunters. The show, not the books. I don't think I got that far into the book series. Because, God, those books are long. Cassandra Clare really said, I will be the Charles Dickens of my time. and write as many words as I will get paid for. Good for you, get your bag. But am I gonna read it? Probably not. Closeted times out. Yes, I'm saying times. That's just how my brain works. I'm gonna put it in no thics. It's almost never done well or in a healthy, respectful way. The only time I can think of that it's been done well is Heartstopper. Very good show and good comic. Joe Locke and Kit Connor's characters, their relationship is the only time I've ever seen that. Every other time is a toxic mess. Fish out of water. This shit is just low-key annoying. It's almost always a woman who's the fish out of water, and it almost always lends itself to her being not just a clut, but airheaded and completely clueless about the world around her. We really need to stop portraying women that way. Taming the Shrew. I hate this shit so much. Yes, I did name it after a Shakespeare play, even though I hate Shakespeare. It's more or less how this trope was popularized, so the name is fitting. The idea that any woman who does not have a stereotypical feminine personality needs to be tamed and made into a traditionally feminine woman by a man in order to have worth and be romantically appealing. And that's all bullshit. Similarly, traditional gender roles. That shit is going straight in nightmare fuel. That is a dumpster fire. All the things that I hate. And it typically goes along with an amazing, hardworking woman who does everything, falling in love with a ridiculous man who gives nothing in return and is the embodiment of weaponized incompetence. It was you all along. That's pretty mid. It can occasionally be cute. It's often cringy, and it's almost always boring. Let's do two at the same time. Damsel in Distress, Knight in Shining Armor. They belong here in no thics. I really dislike these for obvious reasons, also known as misogyny, but it's really fun to see them subverted. For that reason, they're not complete nightmare fuel. Best example I can think of is Shrek and Fiona in Shrek. How they flip these tropes inside out and upside down is wicked fun. We have not gotten any Immaculate Vibes yet. Have I just stacked the deck against myself? Belated Love Epiphany. Similar to It Was You All Along, it's just mid. It's usually men who have said belated epiphany, and men not realizing things is not news. So, whatevs. Grand gestures. Ooh, I hate this shit. I hate it. Every form of a grand gesture. That is literal nightmare fuel. Vote that person off the island. It's a no. Similarly, public proposal, literally worse. The thing that you learn in math class, where it's every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. Every public proposal is a grand gesture, but not every grand gesture is a public proposal. Honestly, there's not much of a difference because they're both terrible. It's literally if love bombing was a singular event. Fundamental disagreement. Who? This is the hilarious term I've come up with for situations in which the two characters in a relationship decide to continue to be together even though they have fundamental disagreements on very important things, i.e. values, whether or not you want children, whether or not you want to get married, all that stuff. The most atrocious recent example I can think of is the movie Purple Hearts, which I unfortunately did watch in its entirety. This shit goes hooray into nightmare fuel, baby. I want it to go away. Roommates, the whole roommates fall in love thing, I'm gonna put that in mid. It's boring and usually perpetuates the stereotype that straight men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way. An iconic line from When Harry Met Sally, but not necessarily accurate, and I don't think it's something that we should be promoting in media because it just reinforces it in real life, and that needs to go away. Normalize thinking of women as real people instead of sexual objects that you can get with. Impossible love. This one just confuses me. For some reason, it's a different trope than forbidden love, which we'll get to later. I don't really see a difference. Apparently, it's niche, usually with time travel related romance. Like, I'm from this time period, you're from that time period, and we can't stay in the same time period because we're gonna fuck up the timeline and the world will end, or something. I'm gonna put it in mid because it's irrelevant. I don't find that interesting. Marriage of convenience. Do I dare? I feel like this goes in Chef's Kiss. Controversial opinion. I know. It's absolutely not perfect, hence why it's not going in immaculate vibes. Even though it's a variation on the fake dating trope, it usually turns out better than fake dating because there are usually more important reasons why this situation comes about. Do I actually think that a lot of people do a marriage of convenience in real life? No. But in the capitalist hellscape that we live in, it is certainly much more realistic. I am referring to both modern problems like here in America, people getting married for health insurance and also to avoid getting deported, and historical examples. A lot of Regency novels have, oh, we were caught holding hands in the garden, now we gotta get married, or her reputation is slandered, or my family has money, but no title or social standing. Your family has social standing, but are broke. Let's get married and fix all of our problems. Those are more important reasons than what usually happens with fake dating. The personalities of characters who end up in this situation are a lot more compatible than the kind of people who think that fake dating is cool. Because the marriage is not fake unless someone is combining the two tropes. It's between two people who are going into it with open eyes and are like, yes, this is a real marriage. Here are the rules to it, blah, blah, blah. I want to be very clear. I'm not talking about forced marriage. I don't have that specifically, but I do have a different trope that kind of falls under, which is violation as romance or sex. Some examples are voyeurism, SA, stalking, manipulation, forced marriage, anything where one person is controlling, abusing, violating, coercing the other person, and it's seen as romantic as opposed to a crime against humanity. And usually a hate crime against women. They specifically say as romance or sex because a lot of the times SA situations are presented as sex. SA means there's a lack of consent, and lack of consent inherently means it was not sex, it was SA. That's why I hate the term non-consensual sex. No, dude, if it's not consensual, it's not sex. It's assault. The end. Good girl, bad boy. I'm gonna put that in mid, just like the inverse. Not that I don't love the vibes, because I do, but a lot of the time it turns into he's toxic, girl is slipping under, and she's supposed to fix him, i.e. the Vampire Diaries, Twilight, literally anything in the supernatural category, and other bullshit like the After series. A good example of that trope is Grease, The Rise of the Pink Ladies. Surprise of the Century, I do in fact like a singular musical TV show. One of the main romances is between good girl Jane and bad boy Richie. Does he have some problematic personality aspects? Yes, and he needs to work on them, but he is mostly a good person, and he has a heart of gold. He just has a bad boy reputation because the world is unkind to brown boy. Wrong side of the tracks. That's actually Chef's Kiss for me. Unlike good girl, bad boy, or bad boy, good girl, this is always about something that is not in the character's control, such as being poor, being BIPOC or marginalized in some other way, having shitty or absentee or dead parents. Those characters are pretty much always fantastic on their own and as romantic leads. It's not quite immaculate level, but it's definitely up there. Holiday romance, mid. Most of them are Christmas. I don't watch Christmas movies. I don't specifically dislike holiday romances that much because that requires effort, and they're not worth it. There's one or two very cheesy holiday, aka Christmas romances that I like, namely the Christmas Prince movies. They're just so wholesome and cute, even though the love interest is like the blandest white man you've ever seen in your life. And the whole concept of royalty is fucking annoying. I would also just like to put in a plug for holiday romances that are not about Christmas. There's the holiday, it does involve Christmas and also Easter, but it goes through all the holidays, and I just found that more interesting. But whereas the Ramadan love story in Western media Where's the Hanukkah or Rosh Hashanah romance? Also, how is there not a Halloween romance movie? Hello? Who else wants Gomez and Morticia vibes? And I fucking love Halloween. Vacation romance. It's gotta go in Chef's Kiss. It's just better. I really like when the romance inspired by some beautiful locale. It's more my vibe. A great example that I just watched is A Tourist Guide to Love. Excellent. Is it cheesy and a little on the nose? Sure. Do I care? Abso-fucking-lutely not. There's also Resort to Love, Falling in Love, both featuring Christina Milian as the romantic lead. Those are good too. Secret Baby. That is nightmare fuel. And I'm talking about all the variations. Usually it goes with a second chance romance where like man and woman work together. They break up for entirely reasonable reasons. Probably should have broken up earlier. Then woman finds out she's pregnant, has baby, because you gotta have the baby. You can't have an abortion or anything. Raises baby without father knowing. Father finds out. Then they fall back in love and they're a happy family at the end. Like that movie about the country music star who ditched his fiance, who then turns out was pregnant. It was very stupid. I don't know why I finished it, but that was a while ago. If you're keeping a child a secret from their biological father, there's probably a good reason for it, unless you're a terrible person. Even if it turns out that they've changed and can be a good co-parent, does not mean that they would be a good partner to you. Incest. That's very easy. Absolutely not. This is why I cannot watch Game of Thrones or read the books. Why do people like it? It's so fucking weird. Going along with that, I hate pseudo-incest. Straight to nightmare fuel. I am looking at you, Cassandra Clare. Fucking Shadowhunters, Jason Clary bullshit. I can't believe I'm talking about this. Another version of pseudo-incest, other than a fake out, like the whole clase of it all, is stuff like two people who are not technically related, but they're basically related. Another Shadowhunters example, Alec and Jace raised as siblings. They're parabatai, but also Alec is in love with Jace. Come on! In The Fosters, Callie dates her foster brother Brandon, and then she dates her foster brother AJ. Big red flag energy. Are they technically your blood siblings? No, but it's still fucking weird. Ugh, this also gets into like creepy, borderline pedophilia if shit. Where the little orphan girl is raised by this older man guardian, and it's completely platonic, and he's like a father to her. And then suddenly she grows up and turns 18, and she's so pretty, and she's technically a grown-up now, and now they just have to fuck. Who invented that? I want name, and I would like restitution. No, thank you. Why are there so many trashy romance novels that live in this trope? Another type under this pseudo-incest umbrella is the Vampire Diaries situation, where one person is torn between two love interests who are related to each other. That's weird, especially with the whole Elena is the great whatever granddaughter of your mutual ex. Shut the fuck up. Men are gross. Please leave. And I don't blame Elena because she was a teenager and they were 100 years old. Another one, also, of course, in the Vampire Diaries universe is Klaus, Elijah, and Haley. Klaus and Haley were never actually together. They just had a one-night stand, and that's how you end up with Baby Hope in the original series. And then Legacies, I love Elijah, don't get me wrong. But it's weird to enter a serious relationship, or any relationship really, with your baby daddy's brother. Who did that? Julie Plec, are you okay? Do you need to go to therapy? Because you've been way too involved in this. Even in the Bridgerton books, and I'm assuming the series, Francesca's story, she falls in love with a guy, and they have a great life together until he dies. A few years later, she falls in love with his cousin, who was raised as his brother. Are both couples cute? Yes. Does it weird me out that they are blood first cousin and were raised as siblings? Also yes. That was not necessary. Why couldn't they just be best friends? I don't get it. Everybody needs to shut up. I should be in charge. Nobody else can write anything without my approval. Not a single show, book, movie, play, nothing. You gotta consult me first. Accidental pregnancy don't like it. That's a no fix from me. You have a one-night stand or a fling and get pregnant and decide to have a baby. Perhaps a questionable decision, but you're allowed to do that. But that person who you've just met just happens to be your one true love. No. Alpha MMC. That goes in the goddamn dumpster. I hate it. We're running out of room. Just pretend that you can see all of these things. MMC is good because saved FMC from SA. We put it in the garbage where it belongs. Making someone else jealous. Mid. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. There's like maybe a few times where it's done relatively well, but like mostly it's just boring. Opposites attract. We love. That's a great one. However, it does not belong in immaculate because it is very easily fucked up. When it's done well, it's great. Sometimes it gets fucked up because people take opposites attract to mean opposite values, i.e. purple heart, instead of what it actually is supposed to mean, opposite personalities, which can actually work really well. Bodyguard protectee. I haven't really read or watched a lot of this. It can get thorny depending on who hired the bodyguard. If it's the protectee, there's a power differential that I don't like there. If it was someone else, can be okay, I guess. I'm gonna put it in no thanks because I think too murky for me. Love at first sight, insta-love. I hate this. It's not real. It's just instant infatuation, and it's ridiculous. Angst, yearning. You know what? We have our first immaculate. My favorite example, Kaz and Inej in the Six Crows duel. Special white boy. Billionaire, royal, rock star, etc. Bonus points if he's secretly a special white boy. I don't like this. It's annoying. It gives me very much Chosen One vibes, Romance Edition, and I hate it. It's problematic in the sense that it's promoting mediocre white men as special because they happen to get famous or they happen to be born rich, not necessarily being a bad person. That's why it's not going straight into nightmare fuel. So, toxic bad boy, immediately no. Hate it, needs to die. Both the stereotype and the characters. Clueless virgin, immediately in no fix, because the term virgin is almost never used on men. I'm specifically talking about female characters who have not had sex before. I don't like that this is a trope because I don't like women being portrayed as clueless, whether it be about their own body and sexuality, and they just need a man to teach them, or about the world and life in general. Also, whether or not you've had sex does not impact your worth as a human being, and this trope tries to make it into a determinant of human worth. Perfect example is Cher Horowitz in Clueless, a movie which I love, but is just as problematic as it is iconic. Cher is the quintessential clueless virgin, as Ty says, a virgin who can't drive. I would argue that the can't drive part is embarrassing, whereas the virgin part is not. Virginity is fake anyway. It was invented by men who want to control women, and it's very heteronormative too. Milestone pact, marriage, kids, etc. This is when two characters who are just friends make a pact that if they're not married or they don't have kids or if they haven't achieved whatever heteronormative milestone by a certain age, they will do that milestone platonically together. This is just boring. More and more people, especially millennials and Gen Z, have platonic life partners, which is totally legit and absolutely a great way to live your life. That's not what this is, though, because inevitably, these two people fall in love for reasons unbeknownst to the viewer/reader because they have no chemistry at all. Who cares what age you do things? There's no official timeline. Don't put the pressure on the viewer by perpetuating that bullshit. I hate everyone but you. That has to go to immaculate for me. I really do love this. Probably because I am the person that would say that. I don't like people that much. The number of people I like is barely in the double digits. And one of them is my dog. Yeah, I just love the vibes. However, what I do not love that is related is male main character is an asshole to everyone but the female main character. It's very much the flip side of I'm not like other girl, therefore I hate it. This trope is about the MMC just generally being a bad person and an asshole and a walking red flag. Whereas I hate everyone but you is not about being an asshole, it's about being a prickly person. Abductor times victim, straight to the garbage. I hate this. Whether classic Beauty and the Beast version of being held hostage or falling in love with your kidnapper. Can we stop promoting Stockholm Syndrome as romance? Thank you. Slow burn romance. Immaculate. I love it. It's so much more satisfying than immediate romance in most cases. Not saying that more immediate romance can't be cute to watch, but if you're gonna put two pieces of media in front of me and you tell me this one has a slow burn romance and this one, the plot is that they get together right at the beginning, I'm gonna pick the slow burn. Again, Kaz and Inej from Six of Crows. Boss times subordinate. That goes straight to no thicks. Pretty much always garbage, especially because it's almost always male boss, female subordinate. And there's usually an age gap too, which I also have a big problem with. Speaking of which, age gap, romance, and power differential, those both go in the garbage. Yeah, just garbage material. Cheating, betrayal, no thicks. To me, cheating is never okay, both IRL and in romance, unless you are cheating on an absolute garbage human and or abuser. However, if you are the affair partner in a situation when someone is cheating on their abuser, you are also suspect. If the abuser finds out, it puts the abused partner in such a dangerous position, especially because the situation is usually abused woman, abusive man. Different worlds. Immaculate. Really love it. I love when media showcases, not that love conquers all, because I hate that phrase, but that love can take many forms and can exist between many different people from different backgrounds. I also mean it in the truest sense. If anything veers toward fetishization, it goes under the fetishized love interest trope that I have already thrown in the garbage. Not cool. I'm talking about genuine love, respect, and often cultural exchange. I've heard that the movie Mississippi Masala is a good example, though I haven't watched it yet. Same with the movie Namaste Wahala. Love geometry, such as triangles. Why do I say geometry? Because lots of shows, teen dramas in particular, don't just do triangles. They do polygons, and everybody dates everybody. This is annoying. So it's going in no thicks. It's tired, it's overused, it's boring, it almost never ends well, and it's almost never done in a way that's respectful. Literally anything on the CW. Any Shakespeare play. To be clear, I'm not talking about polyamory or non-monogamy. Time traveling boy, regular girl. I don't know why this comes up so much. It's mid. I don't really like the whole special boy, regular girl thing. Men don't need to be made more special. They already have all the power. Also just boring. Amnesia. Mid. I'm not a fan, but I don't really have strong feelings about it. There are some really shitty examples like 50 First Dates. I hate The Notebook. It's a terrible movie, terrible story. So toxic. But Allie's dementia at the end, that's a good example. When Noah and Allie are old and Noah's reminding Allie about their life. That can be cute. Most of the time, it's coercive and plot device to control the female character, so no thanks. One bed. I actually, as cheesy as it is, I love this. Hence, it goes in Chef's Kiss. It's definitely not perfect. There are definitely times when it is way too contrived, but the concept is good, as cheesy as it is, and when it's done well, it's quite fun. Mistaken identity. I haven't really seen or read enough of this to have an opinion, so I'm going to put it in mid. Fake dating. Mid. It's usually for stupid reasons. Unlike marriage of convenience, like, oh, I just don't want to face my ex at the wedding or whatever. Girl, you would be fine on your own. Secret identity. I feel like this could be fun, but I personally haven't seen or read much of it. I guess the only one I can think of is Nikolai cosplaying as Privateer Sturmhond in the Shadow and Bone trilogy and then the TV show. That plotline was low-key annoying, at least in the books. Forced proximity. One bed is basically just a more specific version of forced proximity. And similarly, when it's done well, I really like it. Sometimes it can be too contrived, and that's why it's in Chef's Kiss. Single parent times non-parent. Mid. It can go really well and be really cute and can lead to found family vibes, which I absolutely love. Just as many times, the children do not exist. They're just a plot device, usually to make a single man more appealing to the female character. Oh, he has kids. He's such a good dad. Doing the bare minimum does not deserve an award. Grumpy Sunshine. Absolutely immaculate. Love it. As with everything, there are of course a few examples that are a bit problematic, but excellent. Great tension, great chemistry, good vibes all around. Similarly, rivals to lovers and enemies to lovers. Absolutely immaculate. Love them both. What's the difference, you might ask? Rivals is about relatively surface level competition. Enemies is like our families are in a blood feud, or we're on opposite sides of a war, or just happen to be on opposite sides of something. Enemies to lovers would be Kate and Anthony from Bridgerton. Rivals to lovers usually falls under the category of academic rivals, which is my personal favorite, or workplace rivals. A really good example of rivals to lovers is the movie Candy Jar. Wicked cute. It's about these two super type A high school seniors who absolutely demolish each other in debate club, but are forced to work together. It's a good time, and their chemistry is excellent. Office romance. Mid. The nature of office romance as a trope is 50-50. It could either be very cute and functional, Jake Peralta and Amy Santiago in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or it can be an absolute disaster and blow up in everybody's face, like Kelly and BJ Novak's character in The Office. A show which I hate. Friends to lovers. I'm going to put that in Chef's Kiss. I like it a lot, not as much as enemies or rivals to lovers. This hyphen is bothering me. That's better. Bully ex-victim. Absolutely not. That goes straight in the garbage. First example in my head is Kurt and stupid bully boy football player. That is absolutely ridiculous and terrible. Black cat ex golden retriever. Absolutely elite. Often goes hand in hand with either enemies or rivals to lovers, but not necessarily. Can also be a friends to lovers, or even a right off the bat romance. I don't care which form it takes, because it's great. The most recent example I can think of that I really was into is Maddie and Wally in School Spirits. My favorite combination is definitely Black Cat, GF, Golden Retriever, BF. It also just flips gender stereotypes, and I personally am a black cat as a person, so I relate more. Sexy abuser, ill. That is going straight in the garbage. I would really like that to not be a thing anymore. Perfect example is Harden in the After series, and the fact that I know that is annoying to me. Bet the Dare, as popularized by the 90s rom-com class, She's All That. Love that movie. Really don't like this trope and want it to be over. Fuckboy or rake, depending on what genre you're in. As we all know from Bridgerton, rake is just Regency slang for fuckboy. This is going in Chef's Kiss for me. I know, surprising. Definitely can be very problematic, and I definitely don't like when it gets into she can fix him territory. But when done well, the tension between the fuckboy character and their love interest is usually great. Often lends itself to some enemies to lovers vibes. Perfect example is Daphne and Simon in Bridgerton. Even more perfect example also from Bridgerton, Kate and Anthony. Immediate hookup. Mid. I don't mean that they go on a date or start a relationship and the entire story is about said relationship. I mean hookup as in one night stand turns into a relationship, or they start dating and immediately have sex or some other sexual intimacy. There's nothing wrong with it, and there are definitely instances when it can be good, but I just find it boring. I'm too demisexual for this. It does not appeal to me. Soulmates. Destiny or fate? This is going in the no fix category, very similar to the one true love being romantic love thing. I don't believe in soulmates. It's just statistically improbable. It's not the worst. There are a few instances I've liked, usually because it's in a literal sense. Like, it's a fantasy work, and there's a concept of literal soulmates as part of the magic system. Return from the Dead. This goes in no fix. I've seen too many CW shows, too many immortal times mortal things where everybody resurrects every 5 seconds. Looking at you, Vampire Diary. It's honestly just grating. Athlete hero. This goes in mid. It can be cute occasionally, but it can also be annoying, especially because it often overlaps with alpha male main character, and that's an immediate no. Grieving partner, new flame. This is also mid. It can really go either way. I also haven't read or watched a ton of stuff that features this. It's very typical for this trope to take the form of hot young widower meets new woman who's the real love of his life. Every single Christmas rom-com ever, and also some non-Christmas ones. I mostly just find this kind of annoying. It feels very much like another version of fringed woman syndrome. On the flip side, there are some good examples of love after loss and blah blah blah, but it's a mixed bag. Beauty and the Beast. Just mid. If we're talking about beast as in rough around the edges or not conventionally attractive in some way, which often means someone who has suffered a really bad injury or illness that was permanently disfiguring or disabling, that can be good as long as it doesn't turn into fetishistic or ableist territory. Sometimes the beastly part is that the dude is a complete asshat, and it's the pretty woman's job to fix him, in which case, fuck off. I'm going to take best friend's brother / brother's best friend and all the other iterations of that, supernatural ex-human, and terminal romance. Those all belong in mid. They can all work, but more often than not, they're done poorly, and it does not work out. Especially with the supernatural human bit. Again, old supernatural guy creeps on young human girl. Terminal romance can be great, like The Fault in Our Stars, or it can be very gross and turn into a weird savior complex. Miscommunication and makeover both go in no fix. Miscommunication is super annoying and destructive for absolutely no reason. There are very few exceptions where miscommunication makes sense with a plot and characters, as opposed to a ridiculous plot device to throw a fake obstacle in the way of the romance. Makeovers are usually regressive, misogynistic bullshit aimed at making unconventionally attractive / not typically feminine women and girls into objects that men will find sexually attractive. Example, Cher and Dion making Ty over in Clueless. She was perfectly fine as is. There was nothing wrong with her as a person. And in making her more conventionally pretty on the outside, she becomes a worse person on the inside. By the end of the movie, Cher's, oh wait, that was wrong. Also, maybe I look great on the outside in terms of conventional attractiveness, but I need a personality makeover because that was shitty. One of the few good examples of a physical makeover is Tula in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where she decides to make herself over, and some of it does have to do with makeup and clothes, but it's all about what she wants. She makes over her life. It's about her putting herself out there, becoming more assertive, and going back to school, all this stuff that she wants to do to improve her own life for herself. Forbidden Love and star-crossed lovers, to me, are almost the same thing. Star-crossed lovers usually is a blend of rivals or enemies to lovers, and forbidden love, chef's kiss, just the situation creates a lot of good tension, especially if you have an enemies to lovers sitch. I much prefer rivals or enemies to lovers when the reason for the rivalry or enemyship is external and about the circumstances that the two characters are in and the happenstance of their birth and existence, rather than internal things like misunderstandings between the two of them. Last but not least, we have nobody has a personality. I have never seen this trope clearly defined online. This is just something that came from my own brain, but I'm definitely not the first person to voice it. Neither of the characters who are supposed to be in love with each other or falling in love has a personality. They're the blandest human being on the planet, and together they are even blander. It belongs in Nightmare Fuel. This happens a lot, especially in main romance plots as opposed to romance subplots. Makes everything boring in any character dynamic, but particularly in a romantic one. If I don't like and care about and find the two characters interesting individually, I'm not going to like, care about, or find their relationship interesting. That ruins the entire romance. And who in real life doesn't have a personality? We are finally done. That was all of the tropes that I collected. I have very strong opinions. I'm very picky, and I really dislike a lot of common tropes. The top two tiers are where it's at. The mid tier for a lot of these things is 50-50. Whether I will like it or not in a particular work really depends on how it's done. Most of them have potential to be in the top two tiers if you're talking about a specific work, but they also have the potential to be in the bottom two tiers in a specific work. The two bottom categories I vehemently dislike. I wish they would all go away. I have had enough of them for a lifetime, and they should not be a thing anymore. I truly hate the ones in Nightmare Fuel. However, the things in the no thicks category can occasionally be fun and or well done if a particular work employs that trope by inverting or subverting it in some way, as opposed to just employing it on its own. That's it. Hopefully you find this entertaining. I hope you like my knockoff tier ranking template. I would like to do more of them in the future. One of my favorite things to do in life is to rank things and give my opinions on them. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!